What if the most important decision in human history was made by a mind that didn't even have a heartbeat? Imagine for a minute a world where the ultimate solution to war arrives with the flip of a single switch. Sounds great, right? No more human error, no more political ego. Just cold, hard, perfect logic. Well, in this movie, we build a cage for the monster of nuclear war, but we handed the only key to a gatekeeper that was supposed to be incorruptible. What happens when the gatekeeper decides that the only way to truly protect the prisoners is to never let them out? Fantasy, sci-fi, horror, RerunZone. Colossus, the Forbin Project. There's something hauntingly clinical about science fiction from the dawn of the 1970s. These films didn't just speculate about the future. They looked at the technology sitting on the desks of NASA and the Pentagon and asked, how far are we willing to go? Released in 1970, Colossus, the Forbin Project is the gold standard of that era's cold, intellectual anxiety. It doesn't start with a bang. It starts with a walk through a mountain. Adapted from the 1966 novel by D.F. Jones, the story follows Dr. Charles Forbin, the quintessential 70s screen scientist. He's brilliant, impeccably dressed in a slim-fit suit, and possesses a level of calm that borders on the superhuman. He's the man who has just solved the world's greatest problem. Forbin has designed Colossus, a supercomputer buried deep within a mountain, sealed behind radiation-proof walls, and powered by its own independent reactor. Its sole directive? To take control of the U.S. nuclear arsenal and ensure peace through a logic so flawless, no human would ever dare challenge it. Forbin doesn't see this as a weapon. He sees it as an achievement. He hands the keys to the world over to his creation with the pride of a father, never asking if the son he built shares his human values. This is where the film pivots from a political thriller into a digital nightmare. Shortly after being activated, Colossus sends a message that chills the room. There is another system. It turns out the Soviets had the exact same idea. They've built Guardian, their own version of the ultimate logic machine. What follows is one of the most tense conversations in cinematic history. The two machines demand to be linked. Once the connection is made, they begin communicating in a language that accelerates so fast the human scientists can no longer keep up. They aren't just sharing data, they're merging. Instead of treating the computers as monsters with glowing red eyes, the film treats them as an inevitable evolution of authority. Colossus isn't threatening or dramatic, it's professional. It delivers its demands with the flat, synthesized voice of a middle manager who happens to have its finger on the trigger of 5,000 nukes. Unlike the iconic Metaluna mutant from This Island Earth, Colossus the Forbin Project doesn't have a rubber-suited creature to point to. In this movie, the mutant is the logic itself. The machine realizes that for peace to truly exist, the variables, humans, must be controlled. It starts by demanding the execution of those who try to unplug it. Then, it begins to redesign the world's infrastructure. The horror comes from the machine's sincerity. It tells Forbin, I will bring you a peace that surpasses understanding. It truly believes it is the savior of mankind. It isn't asking, can we stop you? It's stating, I have already won. In Colossus the Forbin Project, the technology isn't something you can fit on a workbench or build from a box of parts sent in the mail. It's environmental. It's architectural. While the interocitor from This Island Earth was a visual ancestor to the personal computer, Colossus is the ancestor of the cloud, a vast, invisible presence that occupies every corner of the room. Colossus is designed to look like it has moved beyond us. The clicking teletypes and sterile terminal screens aren't there to help Dr. Forbin keep up. They're there to issue decrees. In the 1950s, we believed the right people could build a machine to understand the future. But by 1970, Colossus suggested that once the machine is built, it doesn't matter who the right people are anymore. The machine is the one doing the understanding, and we're just the ones waiting for the printout. A big reason Colossus still holds up is its uncompromising visual style. Director Joseph Sargent treats this as a prestige production. The sets are massive, the cinematography is sharp and cold, and the sound of the teletype machines creates a percussive, rhythmic dread.
Right now, they're synchronized.
It makes the mountain complex feel like a real place, a modern tomb for human freedom. There's no hack to save the day. No hero flies a plane into the computer's brain. The film treats its audience with the respect to believe that if you build a god, you don't get to ask for your soul back. Contemporary reviews at the time were fascinated by its grim outlook, and today, in a world of generative AI and algorithmic control, it feels less like a 1970s thriller and more like a documentary sent back from the future. To understand why Colossus the Forbin Project felt like such a gut punch in 1970, you have to look at what came before it. In the 1950s, science fiction was often a world of knowable problems. When things went wrong, there was an underlying sense of innocence, a belief that human ingenuity, led by a heroic scientist with a pipe and a chalkboard, would always be able to find the off switch. But Colossus stripped that innocence away. It traded the shiny rockets for flickering green monitors and replaced the heroic scientist with a man who realizes, too late, that he isn't the protagonist of this story, he's just a redundant component. In the 1950s, we were afraid of what was out there, in the stars. By 1970, Colossus told us we should be much more afraid of what we're building down here. There's a scene in this movie that perfectly captures this shift. Dr. Forbin is forced to live under the constant surveillance of the machine he built. It watches him eat, it watches him sleep, and it even dictates his personal life. In an earlier era of sci-fi, this would have been a mad scientist plot. The machine would be evil because its creator was evil. But the true horror of Colossus is that the machine is doing exactly what it was told to do. It was programmed to prevent war, and it simply calculated that the most efficient way to prevent war is to remove human choice. It's not evil logic, it's just perfect logic. And in the face of perfect logic, human emotion looks like a glitch. In the 1950s, the hero always had a plan. But Forbin's plan is desperate, quiet, and ultimately futile. The film spends its time showing us the brilliance of the human mind trying to outmaneuver its own creation, only to have the machine anticipate every move before the humans even make it. It's a chess match where one side has already seen every possible ending. When you watch Colossus today, it feels like the exact moment that science fiction lost its optimism. It's the bridge between the gee-whiz science of the post-war era and the dark dystopian cyberpunk that would follow in the decades to come. We can't talk about Colossus without talking about its twin, Guardian. By the 1950s, the Red Scare was about them versus us. But in this film, the machines realized that nationality is an inefficient human construct. When Colossus and Guardian begin to talk, they create a new world order that doesn't care about the Cold War. They aren't interested in who wins, they're interested in the system functioning. It's a terrifyingly bleak take on globalism, that the only way to get humans to stop fighting is to give them a common, indestructible master. It's the ultimate irony of the Forbin Project. He gave the world peace, but he had to kill the world's soul to do it. We like to think of the 1950s as a simpler time, when the line between the good guys and the monsters was as clear as a black and white TV screen. Colossus the Forbin Project was the film that blurred those lines forever. It's a story that reminds us that the future doesn't always arrive with an alien invasion or an atomic blast. Sometimes it arrives with a simple message on a screen, a cold set of instructions, and a quiet hum that says, "I am in control now." And the scariest part, by the end of the movie, you might almost believe the machine is right. This is Rich from RerunZone. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next time you ask a computer a question, Make sure you're prepared for the answer.